Kelly Shaw with the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch organization. I'm back in Yellowstone Canyon. I'm at the spot that Brody was camping at when he had his Bigfoot experience. Him and his girlfriend at the time, 4 years ago. I usually only do sighting reports. This is a Class B. He didn't actually see the creature, but what played out here is really significant to our findings and research. Brody and his girlfriend were camping right here. Beautiful, beautiful place to camp. And Brody was into prospecting at the time, and this area in the 1600s, the Spanish come in here mining and stuff, and so anyway, you know, Brody was looking for their mining traffic from a historical point of view. It's something he was interested in, and maybe if they left some scraps behind, you know, whatever. Well, him and his girlfriend had found what I call a Bigfoot territorial structure. And to Brody, he thought that this structure may have been, it's a tree structure made out of logs and stuff. A very good sized one. It's one of my favorite. I'll put this structure at the end of this report, along with the GPS map overlay of other structures we found in the area. We've probably found about a dozen, but 4 of them are large enough that we consider those territorial structures. I believe that alpha males build them to mark off their territories. It surrounds a couple of mountaintop springs and some food sources. Well, Brody and his girlfriend had found the structure, and they were kind of dinking around, looking around it and stuff, and something vocalized at them. Started stomping around in the woods, staying out of sight, but letting them know that it is there, trying to intimidate them. You know, and it did make them concerned enough that they hiked the 4 miles out of there, and they could hear it paralleling them and following them the whole time they hiked out. And then they got to the trailhead, which is about a mile from here, and they drove back to camp. Well, they believe whatever it was actually followed their vehicle back to where they were camping right here, where this intimidation display in the structure took place, according to GPS, is about 5 miles this way. So it seems the creature may have followed their vehicle back to camp after it followed them to the trailhead. Well, they get back to camp, and the darker it gets, the later it gets, it seems the creature gets more aggressive. And I apologize, Brody. You know, if I'm getting parts of the story wrong, you'll have to tell it yourself. Brody really don't like talking to a camera. Not many people do. That's one reason why I do these people's sighting reports, and I'm doing Brody. So if I don't get it completely accurate, you're going to have to deal with it or do it yourself. But anyway, later it got, it like ripped a branch off a tree or snapped a big branch, and then it started throwing branches and rocks at him, and it even did a deep, low, guttural growl. And I guess this kept on all night long. It kept throwing sticks and rocks at Brody's vehicle and Brody's trailer. And I'm sorry, but there isn't any other animals in the North America woods that would that has the ability to throw rocks or sticks. So I really think he had a Bigfoot experience. Well, I've known Brody pretty much all my life since we were little kids, and you know, I was talking to him one day and telling him the significance of these structures. You know, and then he's like, well, I know where some structures are, and he told me about his experience, and I'm like, dude, you had a Bigfoot experience. That's a Bigfoot structure. You were inside its territory. That's why it started messing with you. You know, so, and he's like, well, I thought the 16th century, you know, Spanish probably made these markers, and, you know, I had to point out, a wooden structure is only going to last 50 to 70 years tops, so this isn't something left over from the 1600s. This is something that's, you know, been made recently, you know, within the last 40, 50 years. You know, and then looking at the structure, you can tell that there's not a lot of rot in the deadfall logs used, so it's, you know, it's probably been made in the last 10, 20 years. And so anyway, I had Brody take me back to that structure, and it's part of Jenny and I started this. It was Jenny's idea. We started doing a map overlay, a GPS map overlay of structures that we think are significant in Bigfoot sighting hotspots. Well, Yellowstone Canyon and the surrounding area, Moon Lake, there's sightings here. There's quite a bit, a few dozen. So, you know, this took place, Brody's Class B took place where there are a lot of sightings. Well, we go back in and we find food sources, all types of berries. Matter of fact, that's where we collected the Bigfoot hair, was inside this structural area. And, well, anyway, we GPS mapped the structures, and I'll put that at the end of this film so you guys can check that out too. So, you know, Brody's little Class B deal, even though he didn't see the Bigfoot, it's been very important to our research in this area. It's really what brought us in, and he's the one that put us on the structures. And we've since found a lot of structures, and like I said, they surround a couple of mountaintop springs, and there's probably, I don't know, 7, 8 different types of berries that grow within this structure area, including the edible form of milkweed that I like to call Bigfoot salad. So it's been a great area for us. The one that harassed him, we think it's the one that leaves the 17-inch footprints. Because whenever we've been harassed, and we've been back here several times last year, we're getting ready to do an expedition here this year. As a matter of fact, I'm up here hiking alone. My team, including my son, does not let me hike alone. And like what Paul Freeman says, they only show themselves when you're alone. So I try to get out alone when I can, but my team doesn't allow me for safety reasons. So one of them always tries to make it with me. I was able to escape him today. Maybe I'll see Bigfoot. Hopefully Paul Freeman is right. Great spot. I love the fact that Brody brought us back and showed us the structure and told us the story, because it led to other structures, and it's really happened with our map overlay. I know there's another research group in Canada that studies these structures in Bigfoot sighting hotspots, and they always mark out like a triangle-shaped territory. You know, a pie shape or a triangle shape, and this one is a triangle shape that's about a mile to 2 miles on each side of the triangle that these encompass. And something else I'd like to point out is we've discovered, even though there's all these plentiful food sources here in Yellowstone Canyon where these structures are, and there's a lot of bear, and you see bear footprints in a lot of places you go up here, you don't see the bear footprints or hear the bears vocalize within this structure area. I really think the one that leaves the 17-inch footprints, he's a very raunchy male, and he keeps the bears out, and the bears know not to go into that area. He's pretty aggressive vocally. Jenny's been growled at. We've been bull rushed from cover by him, and one time when Brody, Jenny, and I were in there, we could hear him paralleling us all day. He would whoop at us and stuff. And then when we got close to the trailhead to leave as the sun was going down, we were crossing a meadow, and we got to the other side in the cover of trees, and on the other side of the meadow, he screamed at us. That's kind of a scream howl. He did it like 5 times in a minute. You know, I scrambled for my camera, and I had a little pocket camera with me that day, and I got it on, and, you know, he screamed like 2 times after I got that camera on, and it didn't pick up any of the distant screaming. I mean, but it was directed right at us. Brody ended up buying a parabolic mic because we lost those vocalizations. We didn't capture those. But it was pretty eerie. I felt like it was telling us not to come back. That was my gut instincts, is don't come back. And something else that happened was this meadow is kind of fenced off with these log fences and stuff. It's a very large meadow. And the free rangers bring their cattle up to graze in there. And when it started screaming, all the cattle rushed, I mean ran, a stampede away from the screams. It intimidated the heck out of the cattle. I grew up on a farm, and I've never seen big, fat, slow cows move like this. I mean, they moved with a purpose. They were scared. So, I think Brody got messed with by the raunchy male up here that leaves the 17-inch footprints, because we keep finding his footprints back there. And then, like I said, we found hair on one of our expeditions. We were tracking some 11-inch footprints that led us to some 15. We were able to cast one of the 15-inch footprints, and then we found hair just before two big old clumps of hair. And it's something I'd never seen from any other animal. The first thing that I thought was, this is horse's mane or horse's tail. But after getting into it, I know a lot more about hair today than I ever thought I would. But most hair, on average, horse hair is like 280 to 300 microns wide. This is about 180 to 200 microns wide. And then when you get down onto the human scale hair, humans is like, around 80, 90 microns wide. So we weren't able to identify the hair, and at the request of a couple of experts, we sent hair to Idaho State University in Pocatello, and then Oxford University. We didn't force this hair upon them. We sent them pictures and videos of us collecting. They asked for the hair. It's sitting in their labs. It's almost a year. Nobody knows what the hair is. So I'm calling it Bigfoot hair. I think we collected Bigfoot hair that day. So this area is very significant. I'm going to pick up the camera and show you guys around a little bit. Make sure you stick around and watch, because I'll put up what we name the number 2 structure. And then the GPS map overlay, you'll be able to see where that structure is, the first one that Brody took us into. When he took us in there, we actually stumbled upon a structure before he took us the one that he wanted us to see, so it got named number 2 on the map. But I'm going to pick up the camera and show you guys around a little bit. This is just a beautiful area. And this is the south side of the Uinta Mountains, and you can tell right over there someone has made a place to hang their elk or their deer. So the deer hunters use this campground that Brody was using. We're at about 10,000 feet altitude. You really only get access to this area 3 or 4 months out of the year. There's a very small window of opportunity to get in here and do our Bigfooting. But it seems like we're always hearing vocalization and finding footprints when we're here. So we know the times of the year that we can get in here, they're using the area. Don't know if they habitate here year-round or habitate here seasonally, but when we can get here, we're usually finding the activity. And here in a couple of days, Brody, Jenny, and I are going to go back into the structure areas and do a little bit of research, see if they're adding to them, taking away, see if we can find some more physical evidence. And of course, everybody always wants to get that sighting. Okay, well, that is my Class B sighting report. It's Brodys, and Brody, if you don't like it, you can do your own. Talk to you guys later.